I'm Paula Lishman. I was born in Montreal in 1949, raised in Goose Bay, Labrador. I am a designer and the originator of knit fur garments. Perfect happiness is to be surrounded by my family, sitting with a project, knitting or crocheting in my lap, and having a nice glass of red wine. Failure, fear of disappointing, fear of losing, our possessions and being turfed out and having to live in the social system. Well, living, I would have to say my husband. That man is an amazing character and he just astounds me. Well, not quite every day, but I've had an amazing life with him over almost 40 years. He's such a Renaissance man. He just comes at everything from all angles and thinks out of the box, and he's amazing. The characteristic I most dislike in myself is probably not standing up for myself enough. I feel that I'm sometimes overrun by more powerful, opinionated people. I'm learning to live with it, and so far it's stood me in good stead, but I should probably have a bit more gumption. I hate to see people intimidated by bullies. I just think people that push their weight around and have to make themselves feel better by putting other people down, it just doesn't work in my books. What am I excessive about? Probably knitting and producing. We did a trip to Montreal. I took all my design staff in for a trend seminar, and I knit a poncho on the way in and the way back, and it's very hard for me to sit still, so I'm probably excessive about working. I don't know, is beauty a virtue? I think people spend far too much time striving to be the perfect, beautiful, physical person. Well, I like to hear the sound of Bill's airplane when he comes back from a flight because I know he's landed safely, so I guess that's a favorite sound. My favorite food is Ontario peaches in season. You just can't beat biting into that fresh Ontario peach. Oh, so good. My favorite word is yes, we can. Let's go. I hate when people say, no, you can't do that. So I like that positive yes. Go for it. Well, I try to never lie, but I suppose given a pinch, I would probably only lie to protect someone that I deeply cared for, if it didn't hurt others. But definitely it's not something that I do very often, because it's too hard to keep track of. We actually live in a place called Purple Hill, and my husband and I took the top off the hill, and he and the kids built this amazing earthship, which is a series of pods, all connected with archways and buried, so the whole thing is below the frost line. So my house is cool in the summer with no noise, no mechanics at all, just taking advantage of the 50-degree temperature of the earth below the frost line. It's a barefoot house. You come in and take your shoes off. There's no drafts. We have an incredible view. We watch the seasons roll by and the storms roll in, and I am totally blessed. I just absolutely love where I live. I'd love to be better at playing an instrument. I sing in a choir and plunk out my notes on a piano, but I think if I had more time, I would probably take up a musical instrument. What gives me the most satisfaction, of course, is to succeed. I mean, succeeding in a commercial sense with a collection, when we present a collection and it goes really well and everybody loves it and the reorders come in. All of our garments are made by individuals, handmade, and they sign their name on them, and they just love it when they hear a movie star's bought a jacket and maybe it was one that they made. And that completion it's very, very rewarding on all levels. It would probably be a beaver. I work with beaver. I love the beaver. To me, the work that I do is honoring the life of that animal. And if I was to come back as an animal, it would probably be an industrious beaver. I find it sometimes very challenging working in the milieu that I'm working with the people that I work with. Generally within my own business, I have a great time. We're a cottage industry in rural Ontario. I love all the women that come into work. They're very grounded and job-oriented, but in the fashion business, sometimes I find that there are a lot of people who don't think the way I do, or we just have maybe different motivations. Some of our retailers that I'm working with can be a little bit difficult for someone, I guess, with my background. My most treasured possession, I guess, would be our wonderful house. I just would hate to think of ever having to leave that house. We made everything wheelchair accessible, so Bill and I can roll around in our chairs in our old age and topple into the hot tub at night. What do I most like? Oh, peace, quiet. Just being still, being calm, and smelling the roses, working in my garden. Feeling grounded, I guess. I'm very much a grounded person. I live in the ground. I'm so blessed that I live in a rural area, and I love my life. If I could change the world, I would really encourage people to get out there right now and find alternative sources of energy so we don't rely on oil. It's the reliance on oil that has caused so many wars, so much hardship for so many people around the world, and we just have to get off that habit. Oh, my hot tub and my puppy, because I drive up and my dog comes wagging every part of her body just to meet me at the car, and that's great. Well, my most obvious physical characteristic is that I have to duck through doorways. I'm 6'3", I'm very tall, so that's probably the thing people would notice about me first. The lowest depths of despair. Oh, so many people in the world are feeling it when you look at the news. I think what would devastate me the most is, just thinking about it is making me teary, but the death of one of my children. Our son went through a serious illness with cancer and survived, thank heavens, but just the thought of losing one of the kids or Bill, something like that would definitely do me in for quite a while. I had a great upbringing. At 17, my parents let me go to Mexico to stay with the family, and I was just so amazed by a different type of life in Mexico. Everything's different. The smells, the streets, donkeys carrying piles of wood up the street, and I had such an amazing, adventurous, growing time there in the sunshine. To always think of others, think of how people react to the things that are done to them or that I do to them. Everything is a group effort, and by supporting the people who support you, you can't help but be successful.